They are remaking one of my favorite horror movies of all time. Again. But this time, Blumhouse. Yeah, that's right, that Blumhouse is behind it. So, what do I think about this? Let's talk about it. It's a fucking shit show. What you think you see, what you think you hear, that's what it's about. Mood and atmosphere. No, it's fucking garbage. It's garbage. Mood and atmosphere. Now that I really like. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I want to see. Hey folks, how you doing? Dave McRae here. That's right, in this video, I want to give you my first impression thoughts on the news that dropped today that Blumhouse, yeah, that's right, that Blumhouse, is going to be remaking Black Christmas again. Now, I don't mean that Blumhouse is remaking it again, I just mean that the movie Black Christmas is getting remade again, but this time by Blumhouse. So, what are my thoughts on this? Okay, well, let me start here. Let me preface this video by saying, for those of you that may not know, I am a gigantic Black Christmas fan. The original now, from 1974. And for those of you that may not know, that movie was a Canadian movie, shot right here in Toronto. And I actually have been meaning to go down to the sorority house, because it's still here, and do a live stream or take some video of what it looks like today. I mean, you could probably YouTube and Google that shit anyway, but I thought it would be fun for my channel, but I keep forgetting to do that. So that is on the list. So anyway, yeah, I am a gigantic fan of that original movie. It's one of my favorites of all time. And, you know, if you've seen the movie, it's not rocket science, you know, to figure out why I like that movie. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to be like, oh, I wonder why Dave likes this movie. I mean, you know, the slow, pensive burn, the mood, the atmosphere, the ambiguous nature of the main antagonist. Why is he doing what he's doing? Who is he? You know, we never see him. The suspense. I mean, it's an all-around really great, small horror movie. And I say that with affection. I don't say that in a just a small little, no, because I believe that's one of its strengths. And that's a great segue actually into Blumhouse's Black Christmas coming out this December on, I guess there's a Friday the 13th, I guess, in December, and that's when it's coming out. So, okay, so here are my thoughts. When the announcement first dropped, I first saw it on Blumhouse's Twitter page, because obviously I follow them. And my first thought was, oh, I had no idea they were even thinking about doing that. Number one. Number two was, okay, what kind of movie is this going to be? Because here are my thoughts on this, okay? First of all, Collider.com just released some more information on the movie, okay? And this is what they had to say. According to Collider.com, pretty reputable source, Blumhouse has hired Sophia Takal? Am I saying that right? Takal. Probably not. I have no idea who she is. I'm not familiar with her at all, so that name doesn't get me excited or not excited. I'm just neutral about it. But apparently she's the one that's going to be directing this remake of Black Christmas. Okay, all right, maybe that name means something to you. And that's not personal to her. She could be as talented as fuck and knock this thing out of the fucking park. I just don't know who she is, so I'm not going to jump on any Sophia bandwagon that, I mean, I don't know. I got to see, you know, for myself, right? But here's the synopsis. There's a synopsis. The synopsis goes like this. Hawthorne College is quietening down for the holidays. One by one, sorority girls on campus are being killed by an unknown stalker. But the killer is about to discover that this generation's young women aren't willing to become hapless victims as they mount a fight to the finish. Okay. All right. This is why I'm going, First of all, let me say this. I know some people are going to hear me say that last sentence and immediately turn to SJWs and girl power and forcing girl power on all that kind of stuff. And that's not why I went, okay? I'm looking at it more from the narrative perspective and the source material and whether or not it fits and this makes any sense in regards to where this is coming from, okay? That's the perspective that I'm looking at here. Okay, here are my thoughts. Not much to go on in the synopsis, okay? There's some things in there that sound Black Christmassy, sure, but I question whether or not they're going to use the fundamental ingredient of Black Christmas that made Black Christmas Black Christmas. And I question it because I understand why they may decide to forego it. But if you do decide to forego it, then is it really Black Christmas? Hear me out. In my opinion, there's a fundamental formula and ingredient in Black Christmas that makes Black Christmas Black Christmas. And that fundamental ingredient is the urban legend about the babysitter and the man upstairs and the crank calls and blah, blah, blah. Now, obviously in Black Christmas, it wasn't a babysitter. They changed that. But that basic premise, that urban legend is utilized in a number of things. Black Christmas, When a Stranger Calls, and there's a few other things as well. But if you remove that premise from the movie, then the identity of the movie just goes away. And the reason why I'm questioning this is because that fundamental ingredient, I think, would be very difficult to get today's audiences to buy into purely based on where we are today in 2019. I mean, when was the last time you talked on the phone? When was the last time you picked up your phone when there was a number you didn't, recognize? I mean, I can't remember the last time I even talked on the phone unless it's to my agents or, a client or something to that effect. But I mean, today, I can't even remember the last time I talked to my girlfriend on the phone. I mean, we're always texting or emailing, and I'm sure, most people are Snapchatting and WhatsApping and Facebooking and tweeting and Instagramming and DMing. I mean, very rarely today are we chatting on the phone. So that premise, that fundamental identity to the original, would be very difficult to get people to buy into for any length of time before the audience is like, oh, come on, they would have traced the call by now. Because it's true. I mean, cops can trace calls like that now, right? It's not 1974. I mean, in 1974, that premise was frightening. There was no social media, there was no, call display or caller ID or star 69. There was none of that, right? It was a legit frightening experience. Today, not so much. I mean, it still would be frightening, but I just mean to be able to find out who it is, where it's coming from, is much more easy to do today. So that I question, because I don't see anything in the synopsis that tells me that they're necessarily going to utilize that. But at the same time, if they don't, I kind of understand maybe why they wouldn't. But then at the same time, it's like, yeah, but if you don't, then it just becomes a horror movie that takes place at Christmas time. It's also important to remember, too, that Black Christmas at its core is not a slasher movie, right? I mean, it's just like Halloween. Halloween's not a slasher movie, okay? Halloween falls into the slasher movie category primarily because of its subsequent sequels, all right? But the first installment, the original Halloween, is not a slasher film, okay? It's more of a psychological thriller. When I say thriller, it's relative to its time. Okay, obviously it's not, there aren't too many thrills in the movie if it were released today, but it's relative to its time. And Black Christmas is the same way. Black Christmas is more of a psychological thriller. It's a creepy, eerie film. And, it's part, that too is part of its identity, because anybody can write a horror movie about a guy killing people and set it at Christmas time. I mean, doing that in and of itself doesn't make it Black Christmas, right? And that's why I'm harping on the fundamental ingredient. But at the same time, you flip the coin. It's like, I kind of get maybe the conundrum that they might be in, because you certainly don't want to lose your audience, and have them thinking, oh, come on, no way that would happen. Just fucking pick up the phone and dial star 69, or, oh, come on, just go down the street to the campus police. Like, what are you doing? Do you know what I mean? Like, it might be a bit tricky. The other thing that I don't particularly like about this synopsis is the last sentence, but not for the reasons that some of you might be thinking. Some of you might be thinking about the SJW aspect that you're probably going to interpret from that. I'm not coming at it from that. I'm coming at it, like I said, from the narrative source material perspective. Black Christmas was not about women rising up and defeating the killer. Black Christmas wasn't about any sort of redemption at any point anywhere in the movie. Okay? I mean, it was a somber, sort of scary, frightening, creepy ending when you realize, oh shit, right? I mean, it's frightening. So when I read, but the killer is about to discover that this generation's young women aren't willing to become hapless victims as they mount a fight to the finish. It's like that. There's nothing proprietary about that. That just sounds like a typical horror movie now. It just sounds like a typical, and has nothing to do with girl power or anything. It has everything to do with the source material. And when you change that, it's not Black Christmas to me. Like Black Christmas isn't supposed to end happily or have women or men or anybody rising up and defeating anybody. It's not, I don't care if you're a woman, a man, if you're black, white, Asian, blue, green, I don't care. That worries me a bit. But that doesn't mean the movie's not going to be good. And that doesn't mean Sophia's not going to knock it out of the park, obviously. But I'm a little trepidatious on that. I am. I doesn't excite me. Because Black Christmas isn't just a horror movie that takes place at Christmas time on a campus. There's fundamental things about that movie that make Black Christmas Black Christmas. And if you remove those fundamental things, then all I see is just a horror movie like Sorority Row or Halloween H2O or Urban Legend or, whatever it is. It just becomes another, horror movie that just so happens to take place at Christmas. The last thing I want to say on this is, obviously, this is just the information. I'm going by the information we have right now, and these are my first impression thoughts. But the last thing I want to say is, it's very easy to take a movie like Black Christmas, the original, take the premise and go big. And that's not what it was. Like I said at the beginning, it was a very small, claustrophobic, narrow sort of movie. Focus in on the premise. I don't want to go to college parties. I don't want to see college parties. I don't want to see massive sex scenes. I don't want to see blood, guts, and gore. I don't want to see, drugs. And I don't care about that shit. We know that shit's happening. We don't need to see it. People have gone home for the holidays. You're quietening down, so you're narrowing the focus to this story. Just tell me this story and utilize that slow burn and suspense. And if you're not going to play into the phone calls and all that kind of shit, which I understand, then make sure you focus in on that small isolation. Right? Focus in on the isolation of the premise of Black Christmas, right? Because that creates that uneasiness, claustrophobic, we're alone, everybody's gone home for the holidays, there's not too many people around, which creates the isolation feel that help is at a distance, help is too far away, right? Focus in on that, and that's going to be, part of your recipe to success, I feel. But if you go big, if you turn this into just a typical teen college horror movie called Black Christmas, you're going to lose me. Because the original, there's a very specific reason why people love the original. So, honor that. And I don't just want to see some little scene that tips their hat to it. No, honor the foundation, honor the feel of the overall film. You don't have to go big. You don't have to go big. You can go small and be hugely successful. I mean, look at the movie Hush, right? That movie about that deaf woman that's up at that house, and there's the guy that comes to the door, and I mean, obviously there's going to be a few more people in Black Christmas than that movie, but the point I'm making is that smaller films like that, when you execute correctly, when you know what to do, can be really engaging, really suspenseful, very eerie, and very successful. And that, for the most part, is what Black Christmas was. There is a bit of an ensemble there, but it's the location is college, the feel is not college. Okay? Let's just remember that. I don't want it to be turned around. I don't want at the end of the movie for us to find out who the killer is and it was actually Bob from dorm room 36 who had a grudge against Steve because he had the hots for Janet. And I don't know. No, it's not Black Christmas. That's just another horror movie, you know? So the ambiguous nature and the unsettling nature of even how that original movie ended is fundamental to the fabric of the identity of the movie. And if you remove all that and you go big, you have me worried. But we'll see. We'll see what more information comes down the pipe. I don't know. Anyways, folks, my name's Dave McRae. Comment below and let me know your thoughts. Do you agree with me? Are you worried about some of the same things that I am for the same reasons that I am? Comment below and let me know. Or maybe you're really excited. Maybe you're like, nah, fuck, man. Give it. I don't give a fuck. I just want it. Just give it to me. I don't know. Comment below and let me know. If you want to follow me on Facebook, you can at facebook.com/manythingsdavemccrae. That's where I tend to post in the meantime and in between time when I'm not posting here. All the links are in the description. Check them out until your heart's content. And when your heart becomes content, check them out again. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's we'll see. We'll see. I like the first part of the synopsis. You know, but that's like Black Christmas 101. But the end, I'm just like, that's not, no, I don't want to see women or men or anybody rising up in a fight to the finish. I don't want to see that. I understand why they're doing it. I don't know. Anyway, that's how I feel. That's my first impression thoughts. Sophia, Tackle, maybe she will change my mind. Maybe she will deliver a fucking awesome movie. You never know, folks. You never know. Anyways, I'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers.